There are 16 new Mega Evolutions to use in Pokemon Champions following the mobile release update. And many of these are completely new Megas from Legends ZA, able to be used in battle for the first time with their abilities finally revealed. Let's rank all of these newly available Megas from worst to best in a competitive doubles context. At the very bottom of the list, we unfortunately have Mega Malamar, which might be the new worst Mega of all time. Yes, even worse than Mega Ordino. I honestly think this is the case. And it's a terrible tragedy, because a lot of people had high hopes for Mega Malamar. There was a lot of speculation about what crazy ability it would have to offset these terrible stats. They would not give a Mega Evolution that they were hyping up so much terrible stats without a good reason, right? They probably gave it some incredible ability, but no. The ability for this is just contrary, which is the same ability it already gets in its base form. So all Mega Malamar is getting is a slight stat increase. Not even very much of a stat increase, honestly. Malamar does have a special defense increase in its Mega form up to 120, which is a good special defense stat, I suppose. Not very good for a Mega Evolution, which tend to have much higher stats than this, but I suppose you could say that with Superpower ramping its defense thanks to Contrary, and having such a high base special defense that maybe it could be like a ramping win condition sort of fella, but I think that is wishful thinking. With such a terrible type combination defensively, and such an awkward level of speed at 88, which is slower than most guys trying to be fast, but not still enough to function in Trick Room, I don't really see Mega Malamar being very good in any context. I don't know if this would be any good even if it wasn't a Mega. If this was just a normal Pokemon that didn't require the commitment of Mega Evolution, would it even be good? I don't really think so. I think Mega Ordino is honestly better, even though Mega Ordino is garbage in its own right. At least it has a good typing, at least it has some good support moves. Mega Malamar, I don't know what it is that you do. I'm not sure why you exist or why they made you. Up next we have Mega Scolipede, another one with a rather cool visual design that I think has been let down by a lame ability choice. Mega Scolipede was granted the ability Shell Armor, which is an ability that simply grants an immunity to critical hits. It's not nothing, but I think it is a rather irrelevant effect that is not going to meaningfully help Mega Scolipede, and what you're left with is mostly just this bug poison type, with average to low stats everywhere except for its attack and defense, which are not going to be enough to make up for the shortcomings everywhere else. Bug poison is not a strong typing, it doesn't have very good doubles utility. Its move pool is nothing impressive or insane. This is just an unremarkable Pokemon that is not going to do very much. It is completely outclassed by something like Mega Scizor, who has a better typing and does more things with Swords Dance sets and such. Mega Scolipede is a rather disappointing Mega, isn't it? And pointing and laughing at Mega Scolipede isn't even fun like it is for Mega Malamar. Mega Malamar is at least good at being the jester and being the clown to laugh at. It's sort of funny looking, it's comically bad, it's sort of bizarre in its design. Mega Scolipede is just kind of nothing to me. I don't really feel very strongly one way or the other about it. I suppose it's worth noting that Scolipede in its base form has the ability Speed Boost. So you could stay in the base form, boost up your speed, maybe Swords Dance, and then Mega Evolve to take advantage of your new high attack stat. But that just doesn't sound that good to me. It doesn't sound like it's worth the Mega Stone when there are so many better Megas in the game that offer more. Up next I have Mega Dragalge, and I want to say first off that I think Mega Dragalge will actually be amazing in singles, because it has the ability Regenerator, which is a great ability, one of the best in the competitive singles context. Regenerator means you heal 33% of your HP every single time you switch out, a very reliable and safe way to heal in singles battles where switches happen very often. Mega Dragalge also has a good typing in Poison Dragon and very nice stats. It's slow, but its special defense is excellent at 163, got a high defense of 105 as well, and a very good special attack stat of 132. I think this is all a real recipe for success for a nice bulky regen Pokemon that can also hit quite hard in competitive singles. But in doubles, I fear that Mega Dragalge will be a bit passive and a bit slow. In doubles, Regenerator is still good, and we've seen it be good on Pokemon like Amoonguss, which can get a good amount out of the heal, but it is worse in doubles because switching is not as safe and it doesn't happen as often. A doubles battle is faster paced, you have less opportunity to switch comes with more opportunity cost and more risk. So it's not like singles where regen is borderline broken and you can just switch and heal up like crazy repeatedly. It's still good and you'll still get something out of it, but it's not like it is in singles. And it's not going to carry you to viability single-handedly like it can in singles. And in the case of Amoonguss, I think that Amoonguss can thank its viability more for its excellent typing and move pool that is perfectly suited to doubles utility. Mega Dragalge, on the other hand, is like a decent slow bulky attacker that might be good on Trick Room teams, perhaps, but I would think that Mega Drampa is a better choice there with its higher special attack and its superior ability as well for that context. In the case of a Trick Room team, you would be getting nothing out of regen because you don't really want to switch and waste a Trick Room turn, do you? You'd rather have something more offensively oriented in the Trick Room. So I just don't think Mega Dragalge is built for competitive doubles, and I can't really see it being used very much. But I would not insult this creature, I would actually commend it. And I think in other contexts, it will be a powerful force. A lot of people predicted that Mega Dragalge would get Regenerator, and they were correct, they are vindicated. And I think it's an interesting ability choice for a Mega. Up next we have Mega Falinks, who I believe is one of the most inspired new Mega designs. The visual here is brilliant, all the phalanxes, individual phalanx beings. I don't know what you call them as an individual unit. I guess a phalanx? Each phalanx, rather than forming like a straight line caterpillar creature, has morphed into a robotic warrior to be more effective in battle. It's brilliant, and I think it's inspirational, and it shows that together we can be greater than the sum of our parts. Mega Falinks has the same ability that it has in its base form, which is Defiant, but this is not a bad ability choice. Not a bad ability to have. Defiant is a good ability that grants +2 attack if you have a stat lowered. This is very good against Intimidate. If they lower your attack with Intimidate, you gain more attack than you lose. It's also nice against effects like Icy Wind that lower your speed, and any old form of stat decrease becomes a benefit to you. And it's kind of nice to have this in both the base form and the mega form, because after you mega evolve, you are still resilient against Intimidate. Mega Falinks also has a good speed stat of base 100, a usable attack stat of 135, not outstanding for a mega, but still quite good, and then 135 defense. So there is something here. You can lead Falinks in the face of Incineroar and be pretty happy. You have a mono fighting typing and close combat, so you threaten Incineroar lethally. You match Mega Charizard Y in speed, you're both base 100, and you can threaten them with Rock Slide. Knockoff is good to complement close combat and have a form of item removal, and No Retreat is a great boosting move that raises all your stats by 1. I think Mega Falinks is certainly trying his best, but unfortunately, I think that a big drawback here is going to be the special bulk. Only 65 HP and 65 special defense leaves you wide open to any magical blast of any description. You're going to be killed very quickly. Also, you can't help but feel that there are other Defiant Pokemon that don't require a Mega slot that are probably better here, like, of course, King Gambit, but also Annihilate is now in the game as of Regulation MB and is probably far more workable than Mega Falinks, who requires the Mega Stone to use, whereas Annihilate is a non-Mega. I can't see Mega Falinks having much purpose over these far better Pokemon that don't require commitment, and I would only think that you would run Mega Falinks if you personally like him and find him to be inspirational or otherwise compelling, which is why I'm probably going to try Mega Falinks myself against better judgment. But if we're being objective here and analyzing this Pokemon for its competitive potential, I feel like there are far better Pokemon that serve its purpose without the commitment of the Mega, and there are far better Megas as well. But at least it's a cut above Mega Scolipede and Mega Malamar. Mega Falinks, congratulations, you are not the worst Mega Evolution in the game, and I think that that counts for something, at least. It counts for something. Up next we have Mega Barbaracle. And Mega Barbaracle keeps its ability Tough Claws in its new Mega form, which is not a bad ability to keep at all. This is a good ability that grants a 1.3x damage multiplier to contact moves. Mega Barbaracle becomes a rock fighting type, which I think is an improvement. And the main thing going for this Pokemon is Shell Smash, a fantastic boosting move that raises attack, special attack, and speed by 2 stages each at the cost of -1 to each of the defenses. A strong boosting move that we've seen Mega Blastoise get a bit out of already in Regulation MA. Mega Barbaracle is a physical alternative to a Shell Smash sweeper that has some good stuff. Close combat with the Tough Claws boost hits incredibly hard, off the back of an impressive 140 base attack. Your mixed bulk is decent, so you probably won't struggle too much to find a Shell Smash opportunity, and 88 speed may not be that fast, but after a +2 speed boost, it should be fast enough. Rock Slide, even though it doesn't get boosted by Tough Claws, will be a great option here with Stab to hit both opponents, with a flinch chance on top. So Mega Barbaracle has some promise, I suppose. There's at least some concept here of a functional Pokemon, but I don't think this will be amazing. The typing is a bit rough defensively. There is a lot of disruption in VGC that will prevent you from Shell Smashing. There's a lot that will threaten you lethally, and after the Shell Smash, after the defense debuffs, you will be vulnerable to Aqua Jet from Basculegion and other forms of speed control like Pokemon Post Tailwind. A Shell Smash boost certainly feels more lethal and game-ending in singles, where there's not as many things that can match your speed, but in doubles, speed control is a big part of the game, so a Tailwind sort of erases the speed increase and allows you to level the playing field instantly, and Tailwind is incredibly prevalent. And that can make Shell Smash feel a bit more manageable. There's also more things threatening you. You can be hit by 2 Pokemon. Shell Smash does feel quite a bit harder to pull off in doubles for this reason. I mentioned Mega Blastoise as a Shell Smash Pokemon. In truth, though, I've seen Mega Blastoise be used more on Trick Room teams. It has Fake Out, so it can support an ally, allowing it to set Trick Room a bit more consistently and then shoot off Water Spouts after that in the Trick Room with lower speed. That seems to be a more consistent way to run Blastoise than Shell Smash. I can imagine so many things that Mega Barbaracle is under fire from prior to Shell Smashing, like Primarina and Rotom Wash and all the different things with ground and fighting coverage and King Gambit. And so I imagine it will be quite difficult to find a Shell Smash opportunity in actual practice. Maybe I'll be proven wrong like I was with Mega Scovillain, who proved to be way better than I initially assumed it would be, but I don't see it as much for Mega Barbaracle. I think it will really struggle to achieve what it is setting out to achieve. Up next we have Mega Scrafty, who is kind of a cool one. Mega Scrafty has Intimidate as its ability, which it already has in its base form. May seem kind of boring at first, but what's cool about Scrafty is that it can Intimidate twice. Since its base form switches in and intimidates the opponent, lowering the attack of both, it can do that and then Mega Evolve and activate Intimidate again, since its ability is Intimidate on its Mega as well. This double Intimidate button certainly has potential, and Mega Scrafty is kind of interesting as a secondary Mega. Maybe this is a Pokemon that you don't need to Mega Evolve every battle and you have another main Mega, but in some scenarios you might want that extra Intimidate, and that could be game winning. And so the Mega Scrafty could be a cool backup or alternative Mega for your team depending on the matchup. Intimidate is one of the most powerful abilities in doubles, and the concept of being able to Intimidate twice certainly has potential. It's also useful that Mega Scrafty has Fake Out. The legendary combination of Intimidate and Fake Out is what makes Incineroar so powerful. Scrafty also hits relatively hard with a high attack stat of 130. It's also got some pretty good mixed defenses, 135 in both of its defenses. It seems to be designed as an Intimidate support bulky attacker sort of fella. Something else that you can do with Mega Scrafty is Dragon Dance with it. Use it as a little bit of an alternative win condition to raise its speed and turn it into a bit more of a threat. It has the very good combination of Drain Punch for Fighting Stab and Knock Off for Dark Stab, and the type combination offensively is very nice. However, I think Mega Scrafty's biggest problem is the fact that it is competing with Incineroar, who is very similar and doesn't require a Mega slot, and although Incineroar cannot Intimidate twice like Mega Scrafty can, I wonder if the opportunity cost of running a Scrafty in the first place will just not be worth it, and rather just run an Incineroar anyway. It's good enough, and it doesn't require the commitment, and you'd not beholden to carrying a Mega Stone and therefore not getting the value out of a held item. Incineroar's typing of Dark Fire is much better than Scrafty's typing of Dark Fighting, as Scrafty is ×4 weak to Fairy, which is a big problem in the Floette metagame, and Floette is still probably the top Mega, even with these shakeups. It's at least a very prevalent and popular one, so it is nice for your Intimidate support Pokemon to not die instantly to a Fairy move. Incineroar also has better move pool, with the key option of Parting Shot to pivot out and weaken the enemy being one of its most important tools. Scrafty does not get this, and Scrafty does also not get Will-O-Wisp, which Incineroar gets. Scrafty's move pool beyond Intimidate Fake Out is a bit shallow. Besides the nice stab options, it has Ice Punch for coverage, but doesn't have any good utility beyond that. Doesn't have a pivoting move at all, which is a big problem. It does feel like this will just get outclassed by Incineroar, but it could have some merit. I could see a team being viable with this as a niche secondary Mega, perhaps. But I do think it will be a little bit difficult to build with and justify using over Incineroar, who was right there. It's also worth mentioning that the metagame is a little bit adversarial to Intimidate, with so many things already covering the Incineroar matchup. Scrafty will be caught in that same crossfire and will hate to see opponents like Milotic and Primarina. Primarina happens to threaten you lethally with Moonblast, so that's no fun for Scrafty either. Up next we have Eelektross, who actually has its very own new signature ability, called Elevate. Very intelligently named ability for an eel Pokemon. Elevate has the same effect as Levitate, granting ground immunity, but it also has, in addition to that, the effect of Beast Boost, meaning that Mega Eelektross will receive a stat boost to its highest stat every single time it achieves a KO. So Elevate is basically Levitate and Beast Boost combined into one ability. And I must say, this is a fantastic ability. You've taken two abilities that are great on their own and just smashed them together. Sounds good to me. Mega Eelektross has a good attack stat of base 145 and a good special attack stat of 135. So it can be a mixed attacker, and it's got a pretty nice attacking move pool. Options including Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Close Combat, and Knock Off. Physical and special attacks galore for Eelektross. This is also a Pokemon with no weaknesses. Theoretically, since Electric is only weak to ground and Elevate grants a ground immunity. The only thing that could defeat this is Mold Breaker or Gravity or other effects that nullify the levitation. But other than that, you're pretty much weakness free. There are some issues with Mega Eel though. Mega Eel is slow, relatively speaking, with only 80 base speed. That awkward middle point where it's not good on Trick Room, and it's also not fast enough to be that threatening on its own merits. And Mega Eelektross is also not that bulky for a Mega especially. It has 85 HP, 80 defense, and 90 special defense. These aren't the world's worst defensive stats, but they're nothing to write home about. Mega Eel feels a bit average in this regard, and I don't know if the excellence of its ability and its strong attacking move pool will be enough to make up for that. One other thing that I'd view as an issue with Mega Eel is the competition from the Rotoms. Rotom Wash, especially, is a very similar Pokemon, also an electric type with Levitate, that is very common for its fantastic defensive profile and its positive matchups against many Pokemon. It's overall an improvement over the Eel defensively, even though it does have a weakness to Grass. Its other defensive traits from the water typing are superior. Rotom Wash is not as offensively threatening as the Eel is, of course, and it cannot Elevate, it can only Levitate. Rotom Wash is a washing machine, not an eel. But Rotom Wash also comes with less commitment. This is not a Mega Evolution. Rotom Wash can just be thrown on a team without taking the ever-valuable real estate of your team's Mega. So I'm not so sure this will be worth it. I also think that even though Mega Eel's move pool is good, Rotom Wash has it beat here too with options like Will-O-Wisp. I guess Will-O-Wisp is the main one. Just having Will-O-Wisp is such a big deal. It is such a good Pokemon at spreading burn and completely shutting down physical attackers. Mega Eel is not as bulky, is a higher commitment, and is worse defensively than a simple Rotom, which I think will make it difficult to justify using on a team. You must give them respect though for inventing a new ability for this eel. I mean, for the Pokemon we've talked about so far, they're really just throwing the same ability the guy already had on there and calling it a day for the most part. But for this one, they invented the new concept of elevation. This has really elevated everyone else. A rising tide lifts all ships, they say, and I think that the elevation of the eel will prove to be very important to the other megas around it, who will all benefit from the rising tide. Up next we have Mega Raichu X, who many have been eager to use. And it's a mega that seems quite promising in some areas, and yet a bit lacking in others, unfortunately. Mega Raichu X is very fast at 110 base speed. It has a good physical attack stat of 135, which is its main standout trait, I think, is that it's a physical attacking variant of Raichu. And its ability is an incredible one. Electric Surge. Electric Surge is an amazing ability that sets electric terrain on the field. Tapu Koko famously used this ability in the past and was one of the strongest Pokemon in prior formats. Mega Raichu X can utilize its high physical attack, the bonus damage from electric terrain, and also stab damage for an incredibly hard-hitting Volt Tackle. A huge physical nuke. Raichu gets Fake Out, which is always good, doubles utility. And Rising Voltage is another option here that's noteworthy. Gets double power in electric terrain, up to 140 power, which is very strong. And that gets boosted further by the terrain itself for a very hard-hitting special attack. Even though Mega Raichu X only has 90 base special attack, the option of Rising Voltage will still be very powerful. And of course, just setting terrain has its value inherently. This can assist allies that deal electric damage or synergize in other ways with terrain. I'm ranking this pretty low though, so what's the issue here with Mega Raichu X? Well, unfortunately, I think in the current Pokemon Champions metagame, even though this is the only actual terrain setter in the game right now, there isn't really much to do with electric terrain. Unfortunately. There's no other terrain setters with which you can overwrite their terrain and set electric terrain, so that's not really relevant. There's no good electric terrain synergy. In fact, the only thing that has electric terrain synergy is Alolan Raichu, which you can't use because you're already Mega Raichu X. You can't run multiple different species of Raichu on the same team. That's illegal. Even if it was legal, I don't think it'd be that amazing. Alolan Raichu has not been great historically. And even Electric Seed is not in the game. At least maybe a Sneasler with Electric Seed could activate on Burden instantly, but that's not even in Champions, so I'm not really sure what electric terrain achieves for you aside from just boosting your electric damage a little bit more. And at this point, I think that you are just functioning as a fast, physical attacking electric type, and unfortunately your physical move pool is quite shallow. Yes, Volt Tackle does hit like a truck, but you take so much recoil from this move, 33% recoil, to the point where you're basically ending your own life when you're selecting it. It doesn't seem very worthwhile to me. Your physical move pool beyond that is pretty limited. Also, 135 physical attack is not actually that high for a Mega. There are higher offensive stats on other Megas, meaning that Mega Raichu X has competition and is a little bit difficult to justify using right now. Maybe in a future metagame this guy could be good if there's more electric terrain synergy, or perhaps other terrain setters like in DD and Rillaboom, and therefore electric terrain has the value of overwriting their terrain. But right now that is not the case, and so Mega Raichu X feels a little bit redundant right now. I suppose there might be some value in the same way that Mega Charizard X can bluff being the other Charizard. Maybe Mega Raichu X could surprise the enemy thinking that it's going to be Mega Raichu Y and hitting them with a hard Volt Tackle that does far more damage than anticipated on the other side of the damage spectrum. But that seems like a gimmick and a trick that doesn't feel that worth it to me. At least Mega Charizard X is a pretty good Pokemon in its own right, with a whole type change and different advantages over Charizard Y. It's possible I'm underrating Mega Raichu X here and I have a lack of respect for it, but honestly I don't really see the value in running this right now over the other Mega Raichu form, which I will speak about in the very near future. Up next we have Mega Sceptile, who has returned to Pokemon Champions. The Hoenn starter Megas are all here. Mega Sceptile probably the worst of them, but even though it's a little boring and wasn't really an amazing Mega in the generations it existed in the past, I would put it above many of the new Megas, actually. I think fundamentally it's got some solid stuff going on. Mega Sceptile has a good typing of Grass Dragon, offers some nice resistances. Mega Sceptile is very fast, 145 base speed. It's got a good special attack stat too of 145. And Mega Sceptile has the ability Lightning Rod, which offers decent support. It attracts electric moves to it and is immune to electric. Gets a special attack boost if struck by an electric move, so it can support an ally that's weak to electric. Mega Sceptile also has Quick Guard, which is nice, double its utility. It protects allies from priority attacks. You can prevent your friend from getting faked out or hit by Sucker Punch or something good like that. I don't think Mega Sceptile will be amazing, but I could see it maybe having a niche on certain teams, maybe a rain team. Maybe it's good next to Basculegion or something that is electric weak and powerful. And maybe the speed tier is also valuable. 145 base speed is pretty massive, so Mega Sceptile's outrunning much of the metagame right now. Up next we got Mega Blaziken. Mega Blaziken, known for being more of a singles menace with its incredible ability Speed Boost, ramping its speed every single turn by 1 stage. Mega Blaziken not as powerful in the doubles environment, where boost sweepers like this are a little bit easier to manage, but I think Mega Blaziken still has merit here, and is a frightening Pokemon in the right context. I think that it could be a viable choice on the right team. Mega Blaziken still has some tremendous qualities. 160 base attack is enormous. After just a single turn of protection, you probably outrun everything, and your offensive move pool is also quite good. Rock Slide is a key option that can threaten Charizard for lethal damage, and also is a generally good attack that hits both opponents, coverage against a lot of things. Close Combat is something that this guy didn't get back in Gen 7, that now it gets, and it very much appreciates that. And of course Flare Blitz for Fire Stab. You even have Overheat as a possible special attacking coverage option. You do have a high special attack of 130 after all. That could be valued. You also have Knockoff, Swords Dance if you want to be a boost sweeper and ramp to the moon. The biggest detriment for Mega Blaziken is maybe being a bit vulnerable to Intimidate and also having pretty poor bulk, but its offensive potency is certainly there. The speed boost makes it incredibly threatening, allows it to eventually outrun even Tailwind and other forms of speed control, and make them irrelevant, which certainly has its value. Probably not a Mega you're going to see that often, but I think you could do worse than Mega Blaziken. I think it can certainly work if built around or used intelligently. It's got the tools to handle key metagame threats. It is a strong Pokemon fundamentally, I think. Mega Blaziken might be better than a lot of people give it credit for. Up next, and this is a very big surprise for me, this is not what I expected. Up next we have Mega Pyroar. If you were to ask me before Regulation MB came out which would be the worst Mega released, I would have guessed Mega Pyroar. Without its ability revealed, this just seemed like pure garbage. It's Pyroar with slightly more stats. I was doubtful that they would give it a good ability or anything interesting, especially because its visual design was kind of plain, and it's not really a popular Pokemon or a well-known Pokemon. But, much to my surprise and the surprise of everybody, they gave Mega Pyroar its own new signature ability that is actually extremely good. And it's enough to make Mega Pyroar genuinely viable. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's the truth, and it's something that we must now accept as our new reality, is that Mega Pyroar is a viable Pokemon. Fire Main has the effect of multiplying Fire-type damage by 1.5x, which is a tremendous increase to damage. Without this ability, Mega Pyroar would be pretty average. It only has 129 special attack, its bulk is middling, but the damage boost from Fire Main means that Mega Pyroar actually hits harder than Mega Charizard Y if Sun is up, and it also hits harder than Mega Delphox. Now, Mega Pyroar is probably still worse than both of these alternatives for Fire-type special attack, as Mega Charizard Y is still the top dog, I think, since it sets Sun itself with the ability Drought, and that's very valuable. And Mega Delphox has Levitate, and a higher speed stat, other advantages. But Mega Pyroar, I think, even though it's worse than those two, is not completely outclassed by them. And it does have merit on its own. With support from Torkoal, Mega Pyroar hitting harder than both of those gives it value, of course. And Mega Pyroar's typing also has an argument over Mega Delphox. Mega Delphox is vulnerable to Sucker Punch from King Gambit, which is a pretty big problem. Fire Psychic is not that amazing as a defensive combo. Mega Pyroar, on the other hand, is neutral to Sucker Punch, which is pretty good on a fire type. You threaten King Gambit, you don't want to be threatened by King Gambit. That's useful, and King Gambit is everywhere in this format. The other thing is that Mega Pyroar is immune to Ghost. This is good if you're up against a Basculegion and they're locked into Last Respects, which does happen. Last Respects Choice Scarf Basculegion is a popular set. Mega Delphox would just lose to that. Mega Pyroar would not. So there is value to Mega Pyroar's typing over Mega Delphox, and it is faster than Charizard Y. It is more threatening than Charizard Y if Sun is up from an ally like a Torkoal. So there is now a new way you can build Sun with Torkoal plus Mega Pyroar, and I believe this already has some pretty decent tournament results and is not that terrible. It's actually quite okay. So Mega Pyroar has proven to be a viable alternative fire-type special attacker to Mega Delphox and Mega Charizard Y, which is the last thing in the world I expected, but what do you know, folks? They gave it its very own ability, and I believe in my video in the past I said the only thing that will save this is some crazy new ability that somehow makes it viable, and I was not hopeful that that would actually happen, but they've gone and done it, the mad people at Game Freak. They've made Pyroar good. Now, this might be a bit of initial new toy syndrome hype, and maybe over time, Mega Pyroar's usage and success will decline, but for now, I think we can give Mega Pyroar its accolades and apologize to it. I apologize, Mega Pyroar, for not having faith that you would pull through, and I will atone for what I said about you in the past. I'm very sorry. And I apologize also to Pyroar Nation, who was not very happy with my prior comments. Up next is Mega Raichu Y. It was a Mega that seemed fairly promising even before we knew what its ability would be. It's got a massive special attack of 160 and a very high speed of 130. That's promising by itself. But now its ability is revealed to be No Guard, which is actually kind of amazing. No Guard means that all moves used by you or against you are perfectly accurate. And so this is an effective buff to inaccurate attacks, which is outstanding in the case of Mega Raichu Y because it has the move Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon is not a commonly seen move in competitive. It has only 50% accuracy, but if it lands, it's very good. It has 120 power and a 100% paralysis chance. And with No Guard, this now has perfect accuracy, making it an outstanding move, especially off the back of a massive special attack stat of 160. This hits incredibly hard and also paralyzes the enemy 100% of the time. This is truly incredible stuff here on Mega Raichu Y. Another beautiful option you have is Focus Blast, a move infamous for always missing with its 70 accuracy. Now, perfectly accurate, fighting special coverage, which is actually very appreciated against key targets like Chaladon, King Gambit, Incineroar. There's actually a lot that Focus Blast hits, and the amount of damage you deal with this with your high special attack and the perfect accuracy is just beautiful. And those are really the only special attacks you need. Right, you can also take beautiful advantage of Fake Out, which is a great utility move in doubles, and then it usually just wants Protect. This will be the most common set on Mega Raichu Y, and this will get the job done, I would think. Raichu also has merit in its base form with Lightning Rod, meaning it's sort of a flexible Mega. You can run Mega Raichu alongside another Mega and choose which Mega to evolve with depending on the situation, because Raichu in its base form can still achieve value with Lightning Rod and Fake Out, though it's sort of an awkward set to be using with the base form Raichu when you have Zap Cannon, which is only good if you have No Guard, but still. It's always nice to have a Mega that has a little bit of value in its base form, adding additional ways to find uses for it depending on the scenario. I think Mega Raichu Y just looks very promising. The only downside to it really is that it's very frail, with only 55 defense and 60 HP. That is pretty weak. Almost anything will one-shot this. It's going to be under real fire, but I think that it can overcome that with its incredible offensive prowess and the outstanding option of No Guard, Zap Cannon plus Focus Blast. It's just a beautiful offensive profile right there. I think Mega Raichu Y has a promising future ahead of it. And it's the other reason why Mega Raichu X doesn't really seem that worth it, because why the hell wouldn't you just use Raichu Y, who is the same Pokemon but far better? The damage output on Rising Voltage in electric terrain is comparable to Zap Cannon off the back of 160 special attack anyway. The terrain isn't that useful. Mega Raichu Y unfortunately is completely outclassing Raichu X in my opinion, at least in the current format. Up next is Mega Staraptor, who has been the surprise superstar of the new Regulation MB, because Mega Staraptor received the outstanding new ability of Contrary. And this is even more insult to injury for Malamar, making it feel even worse when there is another Contrary Mega that is so much better. Mega Staraptor already had a decent foundation going. It has 110 speed, 140 attack, and decent bulk. 100 base defense is actually alright considering the solid offensive stats, but this on its own would not be that amazing for a Mega. But Contrary just makes all the difference. Contrary means that stat stage changes are inverted. If you were to lose stats, you gain them instead. So, Intimidate will raise your attack by 1. Close Combat, which usually lowers your defense and special defense by 1, will raise these stats by 1, allowing you to ramp and become sort of a bulky attacker. Mega Staraptor can take advantage of Contrary in other ways too. It's not worried about the speed decreases from moves like Icy Wind, because it will gain speed. You can also use an ally to lower Mega Staraptor's stats on purpose, which will then be inverted. Something like Whimsicott with Charm. You charm your own Mega Staraptor, give them a +2 attack boost from that. You can use Parting Shot from your Incineroar on your own Staraptor and increase their attack that way. There are many ways to take advantage of Contrary, and it's just an amazing ability. It's also nice that in its base form, Staraptor has Intimidate. So when you send it out, it will get value from that too. It will lower the enemy's attack. And then it will Mega Evolve and receive Contrary, getting value out of 2 different abilities. How beautiful. Mega Staraptor also has the option of Tailwind, which is key. It has U-Turn to pivot, so its move pool is also pretty interesting. And Fighting Flying is just a nice combo. Very good type combination. It hits well with Brave Bird, and if you'd prefer to avoid the recall, you can run Dual Wing Beat instead of Brave Bird, if that's amicable to you. Mega Staraptor just very solid overall, a strong Pokemon, with a very powerful ability. Up next, we have Mega Mawile, who has historically been one of the stronger Megas of all time, and I think that's no different here. Mega Mawile is just as outstanding as ever. Steel Fairy typing is perhaps the best type combination in the game. Defensively, so many incredible resistances and immunities are offered by this typing. Mega Mawile has one of the best abilities in the game, Huge Power, which just straightforwardly doubles attack, and has a very high base attack considering 105 attack then doubled for some of the highest damage output in the game. Mega Mawile is slow and can be frail with only 50 HP, but it does have a high defense stat of 125, and the typing is so amazing that it gets by, and it actually feels pretty bulky and pretty threatening too, with the incredible damage from Huge Power. Also has Sucker Punch as a form of priority to overcome its lows. Also, this is doubles, where Trick Room is a very viable strategy, and Mega Mawile is probably the new best Trick Room Mega in the game. With 50 speed, it's certainly slow enough to take advantage of that low speed in the Trick Room. And Mega Mawile also really loves the fact that in its base form it has Hyper Cutter to prevent being intimidated by Incineroar on turn 1, and reducing its damage output. Speaking of its base form having a powerful ability, not only do you have Hyper Cutter as an option, you have Intimidate yourself, which lowers the attack of both enemies, and is a beautiful ability to have in a base form of a Mega, because it lets you get the value out of 2 abilities. You intimidate them, then you Mega Evolve and get Huge Power. Mega Mawile is just a straightforwardly great Pokemon, folks. Probably the new superstar of Trick Room, and even outside of Trick Room you can make it work. 2 great abilities in its base form, elite typing. Mega Mawile has much to be thankful for, except for maybe its eldritch hair with teeth on it. That doesn't seem very comfortable to live with, but beyond that it has a lot of desirable qualities. Number 2 on the list, second best newly introduced Mega in Regulation MB, I would give it to Mega Swampert, who is already having excellent results in tournaments and is a real superstar right now. And I think that the reasons are pretty clear. Rain was already very strong. Pelipper Rain teams were already meta, and they were everywhere, utilizing Basculegion and Archaladon as teammates. And the Megas on those teams were things like Meganium and Dragonite, who have a bit of rain synergy, but Mega Swampert has a far more straightforward rain synergy. It has the ability Swift Swim, which grants double speed in the rain. And it's probably the strongest Swift Swim Pokemon of all time, with truly outstanding stats, especially its 150 base attack. And plus, Mega Swampert is buffed in Pokemon Champions, with the new option of Wave Crash, which is a 120 power water type attack with recoil. This move didn't exist back in Gen 6 and 7, now it does, and Mega Swampert in the rain with the Swift Swim boost and 150 base attack. Clicking Wave Crash is just insane. That's extraordinarily powerful. Rain was already good and now it's gotten even better with this new option. Earthquake works perfectly right next to Pelipper, because Pelipper is immune, and you even have the new option of Flip Turn, if you want to pivot with high rain-boosted Water Stab. Mega Swampert was already a really strong Mega in those past generations without these new tools, but a buffed Mega Swampert in this meta where rain is already really strong is, of course, thriving. It is having a real moment right now. Mega Swampert has quickly become one of the most popular new Megas in the game. And number one on the list here, the best returning Mega and the best newly available Mega in Regulation MB is Mega Metagross, in my opinion. Mega Metagross has always been one of the strongest Megas, and I think it fits incredibly well into the Pokemon Champions format right now. Fundamentally, it is incredibly powerful with high stats across the board, incredible bulk, speed, and attack. In its base form, it has Clear Body, which is fantastic, meaning it's immune to stat decreases, most notably from Intimidate, but also from things like Icy Wind, etc. But when it evolves, when it Mega Evolves, it receives Tough Claws to enhance its physical damage even further. Contact attacks now deal 1.3x damage. Its attack is already high, but this enhances it further, and your damage output is truly excellent. Mega Metagross has a lot to be thankful for when you just look at it, but think about the fact that Mega Floette has been the top Mega for a while now. Mega Metagross destroys Mega Floette. It resists Fairy and threatens Mega Floette directly with Steel Stab, Iron Head, or Meteor Mash. The presence of Mega Metagross will be a big shake-up to the Mega Floette supremacy, I think. Mega Metagross also matches up well against Mega Charizard Y. It outruns it with 110 base speed and can threaten it with Rock Slide. That's noteworthy. It matches up well against Sneasler. Steel Psychic typing means you are neutral to fighting and immune to poison, and you threaten them lethally with Psychic Fangs. You also have a high enough defense to not worry about a neutral hit, so you destroy Sneasler. Mega Metagross is also resilient against Incineroar because of Clear Body in the base form. Intimidate won't bother it. It may not necessarily 1v1 Incineroar. Incineroar can probably tank a hit and strike back, but you match up quite well against Incineroar, all things considered. I think this is just the most solid new Mega introduced. Matches up very well against many of the top dogs right now. It's very straightforwardly good. It doesn't really need support to be good either. It's self-sufficiently good. Also a pretty nice Mega to run on rain teams, because it benefits from the rain nerfing the damage of fire type attacks, and improves the matchup against Floette and other things. I believe Mega Metagross will be the most popular and successful of all the new Megas now available in Regulation MB in the new mobile release update. Overall, I've heard the sentiment that this was not that much of a meta shakeup, actually. A lot of teams that are topping tournaments are not even using any of these new Megas or any of the new Pokemon available, so the meta has not actually shifted that significantly. It would seem that that's the case. There are a couple of noteworthy and powerful new options here, but a lot of these Megas are just kind of terrible or niche to the point where they have a pretty minimal impact, which is unfortunate. What do you think though, folks? Do you think that the meta will continue to evolve over time and we'll see that it is in fact quite a different meta now that Falinks is available? Will Falinks change everything and be the hero that we know that he can be? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, folks, and thank you for watching.